Okay. Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Santiago Atuesta,
Good afternoon. My name is Manela DeZibo.
Good afternoon. My name is Kevin Hagan.
and today we'll be going over the Locally Capital case study. Today we'll be talking about Courtney McBride, the Chief Investment Officer, Liam Spotwood, Manager of the Locally Equity Income Fund, and as well as the Patient Capital Investment Trust Fund, and Craig Newbridge, who is the manager of the New Horizons Equity Fund and Unicorn Equity Fund, and as well as Sarah Markle, who is currently a CFA Level 1 candidate working under Craig Newbridge as a sales assistant, and Tom Fortesco, manager of the Fortesco Capital Fund.
Yes,
Sorry.
it's me. So Spotswood's initial investment is to make larger capitalization dividend-paying strategy. Spotswood violated Standard 3, C, Section 2. I apologize. I'm sorry. This is my first time presenting. So Spotswood began to invest in smaller companies without notifying their clients, as well as changing the strategy without notifying them as well.
Spotwood did not disclose to his clients the substantial changes to the investment strategy for the LEIF fund. And that violated Standard 5B, Section 1, the disclosure to clients and prospective clients, the basic format and general principles of the investment process they use to analyze investments, select securities, and construct portfolios, and plus promptly disclose any changes that might materially affect those processes. So he should have disclosed those changes that could materially affect the investment process of the fund.
In this violation, we see that Spotwood didn't disclose his limitations and in terms of liquidity when investing into smaller and unlisted companies to clients. This is a violation of Standard 5B2. He should have notified clients about the risk and limitations before he made these investments.
So McBride did not say anything even after she began to notice increasing proportion of small capitalizations and unlisted companies and LEIF, violating Standard 4C. Members and candidates must make reasonable efforts to ensure that everyone subject to their supervision of authority complies to applicable laws, rules, regulations, and code of standards. McBride also allowed Sarah and Newbridge to fill out client information at a later date, but she should have asked Newbridge to stop the questionable practice.
So the regulator placed a limit of 10% on the amount of unquoted company stocks that can be held in an open-ended mutual fund. Spotswood stated that anytime he would get close to the 10% regulatory ceiling, he would do a shares for asset swaps, which would simply exchange shares of the unquoted companies in the LAF fund for shares of the Patient Capital Trust. McBride knew about this, stating, "Please let me know if you want him to do a shares for asset swaps between his fund and the LEIF." This violates Standard 1A. They must not knowingly participate or assist in and must disassociate from any violation of such laws, rules, or regulations. The Spotswood should not exchange shares of these two funds only to get around the 10% regulatory ceiling.
And then continuing on, we see that Spotwood exchanging shares of these unquoted companies in the LEIF for shares of the Patient Capital Trust Fund. This also violates Standard 1D due to it being dishonest or can be counted as fraud.
Okay, so Spotswood states that anytime that he would get close to the 10% regulatory ceiling, he would exchange shares for the unquoted companies. This violates Standard 5A, Section 2. Getting close to the regulatory ceiling is not appropriate research and investigation, not reasonable basis for investors in the Patient Capital Trust.
Spotswood stated, "I was also able to list some of the unquoted companies in the LEIF on the International Stock Exchange." McBride stated, "Without these listings, the LEIF unquoted exposure would be more than 16%. They are knowingly misrepresenting the LEIF holdings of unlisted company stocks. This is a violation of Standard 1C. So they must not knowingly make any misrepresentations relating to the investment analysis recommendations, actions, or other professional activities. They should have complied with the regulation and keep their investments in these stocks below the regulation limit.
So Spotwood's exchanging shares of unquoted companies from, so Spotwood's exchanging of shares of unquoted companies in the LAF for shares of the Patient Capital Trust is also a violation of Standard 4A, since these exchanging of shares and him listing these unquoted shares onto the international stock exchange could cause harm to their employer and possibly create lawsuits against said employer.
So Spotswood's plan to announce that he's going to close the fund is called gating, and to close the fund to further withdrawals for at least 60 days. So gating damages the reputation of the employer, so that violates Standard 4A, which members and candidates must act for the benefit of their employer or otherwise cause harm to their employer. It also violates Standard 3A, which is loyalty, prudence, and care, and it's not prudent to invest in illiquid assets for an open-ended fund.
Here we see McBride recommending 10 County Pension Fund to be allowed to cash out their investments within the LEIF fund before Newbridge is allowed to announce the closure of the LIF fund. This is a violation of Standard 3B, as it is not fair for other investors, and this recommendation should be applied to all of McBride's clients rather than just 10 County Pension Fund.
Okay, so Spotswood violated Standard 5A, Section 2. Spotswood claims that you have to be sufficiently arrogant to believe in yourself and your convictions. The investment should be based on appropriate research instead of one's conviction or arrogance.
McBride stated that he'll tell the Tank County to withdraw their money before the announcement is made, which is the big announcement, which is gating, is material non-public information. McBride is causing Tank County to act on this information, which violates Standard 2A. Members and candidates who possess material public information could affect the value of the investment, must not act or cause others to act on the information.
So Sarah and Newbridge were soliciting their clients before resigning at SAM, which is a violation of Standard 4A, since contacting clients before leaving SAM. So Newbridge and Sarah were soliciting clients before leaving SAM, which is a violation of Standard 4A. What they should have done was wait until they left SAM and was hired by their new employer before contacting their clients, even if they had not signed a non-compete form.
Okay, so Newbridge advised Sarah to scan and upload the documents to the cloud, which they gained from the previous employer. So they should not use any information that was collected at SAM. This violates Standard 4A. Newbridge also told Sarah to store the information on a cloud server with no encryption. This means that anyone that has access to the cloud is able to see this information. Social security numbers and banking information should not be stored on the cloud, as well as violation of Standard 3C.
McBride noticed that some of the information on the forms for the new clients was exactly the same. When asking Newbridge about it, he said, "We did not have time to fully process their information, so he had Sarah, his assistant, just fill out the same information on all of the files." Now, this is a violation of Standard 3C, because they're supposed to make a reasonable inquiry into the client's prospective investment, expertise, risk, and return objectives. Okay, prior to making any investment recommendations or taking investment
That's
action.
time.
Time? Okay. I guess I'd like to. Just want to say thank you.
So we'll have 5 minutes for the judges to ask questions.
Okay.
So McBride requested Spotswood to allow Tarrant County Pension Fund to withdraw their money before the leaf is closed. So did you guys address what Spotswood violate, or what should he have done differently?
We did mention about, you're referring to, wait, can you repeat the question? I think,
So
I forgot.
McBride requested Spotswood to allow the county pension fund to withdraw money first. So
Mhm.
do you think if Spotswood follows suit, did he violate anything, and also what he should have done differently?
Yes, he did violate, this,
he
the England one.
is, okay. I'll
So
just-
what he should have done is to treat all of the clients fairly. That is, in my opinion, considered a priority of transactions, since they were a longer client, but still he did take the oath to treat everyone fairly.
Okay. So you mentioned that in the first part of the section, or first part of the story, that Spotswood violated the law by doing the shares for asset swap and bypassing the regulatory 10% limit.
Mhm.
So as a supervisor at McBride, what action should she have taken? Because I know you highlighted that she should recommend to stop trading, but is that sufficient?
Yes, because the companies were unlisted, which is also a misrepresentation. Would you like to continue?
It'd be, I don't think I know the answer to that one.
What do you think that he should have done?
Or she should have been. I don't, do you?
I'm not sure.
I'm unsure too.
Yeah.
I did not hear, other than what my colleagues asked about the supervisor's action or lack thereof,
Mhm.
but I did not hear any course of action, any kind of solution set being proposed for this firm, for Conde, to explain first how it happened, why it happened,
Yeah.
why wasn't it caught beforehand, and going forward, what protocols were going to be proposed and then put in place to prevent this from happening again.
Yes.
Where it misled, in my opinion, is the fact that Spotswood was stating that the clients were investing in him and not necessarily the stocks that he's investing in.
Yeah, because I don't think McBride was at least aware about some practices, because what it seemed like, it was Spotwood was already continuing these practices before being a part of Lokendy. So if this was okay with Spotswood, then McBride just assumed that it was fine to continue these practices.
What solution would you give?
I don't know. I guess.
Any questions?
I think that's it.
All right. Well, thank you, team number one.
Thank you.